What up, Claytriots? It's your boy, Technically Clay, streaming at you from sunny St. Louis, Missouri, and hot St. Louis, Missouri. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to turn my phone volume down. Back to silent mode. Okay, should be on silent mode now. Cool. Let's see if I remember how to do this. Let's see. Since the last time you saw me, which was what, Thursday, I believe. Since Thursday, oh man, a lot. Well, I mean, for those who have been, watching for a while, I went to, or like who were paying attention, I went to Chicago this weekend. Went to Chicago. It was one of my friends' golden birthdays, or golden birthday, I guess. I think you only get one, as far as I'm aware. And she had like a nice fancy party with like a bartender and everything. It was super nice. But anyway, so let's see. We drove up there on Friday. That day, I think we went and got we got drinks at like this like Hawaiian themed place, which was fun. And we had some Chicago deep dish pizza. That was pretty good. Not as good as St. Louis style, but and then let's see, we went to bed, woke up, that day, Saturday day. I'm trying to remember what we did. I think we just did, I think we just like went to we went shopping a little bit. I know. Yeah, we went to the Harry Potter store. Got some some new or some more merch from the Harry Potter Chicago store. And then we did some shopping. I ended up getting sorted into Gryffindor, which I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I know that like online when I took the Harry Potter quiz, I got sorted into Slytherin. Or like the official one online. And honestly, I think that I'm somewhere in between. I think I'm like part Gryffindor, part Slytherin. I don't know exactly what the where I would actually be sorted in reality, but this time I got sorted into Gryffindor. Anyway, we did some shopping. Then that night was the party that we went to. It was a lot of fun. Had a bunch of drinks. Oh yeah, and my because it was me, my wife, and my wife's sister who we all went together, and she matcha maxed. Apparently, she had a lot of matcha. And then let's see, she's obsessed with matcha. She's also obsessed with Labubu. So there's that as well. And then let's see, the next day we had brunch, like a nice brunch at a place where we got like this big old table. It was like outdoor. It was really sick. And then I know we did an architecture cruise that day. And then we went to this other Hawaiian place that our friends had found that was really good just to get food and dinner. And then the next day we went to the fossil. So we're now on to Sunday. So on Sunday we went to the Pokemon fossil exhibit at the Field Museum, which was cool. They had like all these like cute little setups for like the fake Pokemon like fossils that they found or whatever, and then obviously a lot of informational stuff about real fossils as well. So we did a decent amount, I think, on our Chicago trip, and then we had to drive back. Oh, that drive back was not fun. I was very, very tired throughout a lot of it, and also gas was ungodly expensive. So total gas prices was I probably spent at least $100 on gas for this trip. But you know what? It is what it is. It's probably still cheaper than flying, I guess. And then I came back here. I just relaxed for a little bit. We got back around like 7:30. I relaxed a little bit, went to bed, or like hung out with the cats a little, and then went to bed. And then I woke up, went back to work. My wife took an extra day off, but I decided not to. I was just like, I'll just, I'll try and save some days. My days roll over pretty soon here, so I'll get more days pretty soon. But so yeah, I went to work. I just went to the grocery store over lunch. I didn't work out today. Then finished off the workday strong, and honestly, I think, what did I have? I didn't really have much for dinner. I had some boiled cauliflower and like a boiled egg that I had in the fridge, and that's about it so far. I'll probably have to eat some more later for dinner, but yeah. And so here I am to be with you, the viewer. Hello. That was a pretty long intro, but you know what? My life is busy, and I want you guys to know about it. So I'm doing lots of stuff. But anyway, we're going back to the news, everybody. And I missed a lot. I felt like every day it was like, oh, there's stuff that I want to talk about, stuff that I want to inform the public about. And well, I wasn't able to do that. And that's on me. But I also have a life. So but yeah, so we're going to go over the news of the day today. I'm trying to figure out what I actually want to start with. And I think I'm going to start with the normal thing that I always start with. You know, I have to get back into the swing of things. I haven't done this for a few days, so I got to be out here. I got to start with what I'm used to. And that's going to be Iran. We're just going to do like one video on Iran today because honestly, okay. I'm going to be honest. I think we're just in a perpetual state of like going back and forth over and over again is what it feels like. It feels like anytime we get close to something when it comes to Iran, like any sort of actual negotiated settlement, Israel and the various neocons that, you know, have the ear of the president, all come in and do their best to destroy whatever possible negotiated settlement like may come about. And I think my last assessment was that because of that, this is probably going to continue and be a long conflict. It's probably not going to end anytime soon. There's not going to be any real negotiated settlement. And one of the biggest parts that, or at least not for a while, and one of the biggest spoilers for that is, as I said earlier, Israel, who wants to continue expanding their territory in every direction they possibly can. And be in a perpetual state of war forever. Like that's their goal right now. They want to steal as much territory as they can. And Iran specifically made the Lebanon front a condition of the ceasefire and a condition to peace as well, which would mean that Israel would need to like fully withdraw from Lebanon if there was going to be a negotiated settlement, which obviously they don't want to do. And America so far seems to be unable to rein in Israel at all. It's not that they couldn't. It would take one phone call. Like Trump would just have to say, stop doing that or you're not getting any more arms forever. We're never going to ship you another arm like for the rest of my presidency. And they would stop immediately and they would withdraw immediately. But Trump seems to be unwilling to do that, whether that's because Bibi Netanyahu has pictures of him in a vault somewhere or just general neocon groupthink, you know, constantly pressuring him to continue, you know, destroying the American military for the great nation state of Israel. I don't really know one reason or the other, but apparently Trump got really mad at Bibi Netanyahu recently in some phone call is what I've heard. So I think this is gonna, I think this video that we're gonna watch from Fox News here is supposed to cover that. If not, I'll just give my assessment of what that phone call was from like the various, you know, news that I've consumed throughout the day. So let's go ahead and watch this video from Fox News, see what they're thinking over there about the current situation in Iran.
President Trump saying that peace talks are moving forward slowly but surely in the conflict with Iran. This after the president reportedly had a heated conversation with the Israeli Prime Minister. Trey Yanks is live in Tel Aviv to take us through this one and where we are now on the war. Trey, hello to you.
Yeah, hey, Bill, good morning. As President Trump works toward a deal with Iran, he was able to de-escalate rising tension between Israel and Hezbollah yesterday, getting on the phone with both sides. The president said in a post on Truth Social, quote, I had a conversation with Bibi Netanyahu today asking.
So that's important because I don't know if that's happened yet, where they've actually negotiated or like actually communicated with Hezbollah. So far, they have always been negotiating with like the Lebanese army, which is pointless to negotiate with because the Lebanese army is basically just, you know, like the Palestinian Authority for Lebanon. Like it's a Israel controlled and operated, you know, opposition to Hezbollah. So it's not really like like, so there's not really any good purpose for negotiating with the Lebanese army, because it's essentially just Israel negotiating with Israel, right? However, this gives me an indicator that they are actually trying to do something, and that they're at least bringing the actual parties to the negotiating table. So that is an interesting thing right there.
Him not to go into a major raid of Beirut, Lebanon. He turned his troops around. Thank you, Bibi. I also had a conversation with representatives of the leaders of Hezbollah, and they agreed to stop shooting at Israel and its soldiers. Likewise, Israel agreed to stop shooting at them. Let's see how long that lasts. Hopefully it will be for eternity.
It's not going to be for eternity, but okay, so I had a conversation with the representative, and they agreed to stop shooting at Israel and its soldiers. I think that the order of operations here is a little bit different. I think that, from what I understand, Israel, like he told Israel to not go into the southern the southern areas of Beirut or whatever, and they agreed to do that, and then then Hezbollah may have said that they will stop targeting Israel. I've heard that means targeting the Israeli state, not the Israeli occupation forces that are currently occupying Lebanon. And I assure you that Hezbollah is going to continue. If Israel attacks them in any way or tries to take more territory or whatever, Hezbollah will be, continue fighting back against them. Like, especially on their territory. But yeah, okay. Well, at least I guess this kind of gives me, though, I think I might have put it in my description or whatever, but like Joe Biden vibes as well, though, because if you remember when Biden was president, he would say, Israel, you better not do this. You better not do this thing. Like, you better not push into Rafah. You better not do it. And then Israel would just do it anyway. And then nothing would ever happen. So this is also kind of giving Biden energy, that like he's just constantly, saying that, like, leaking to the press that he's, super upset about Israel, but never actually doing anything to enforce anything on them. Essentially showing the entire world that Israel, like, is the one in control of this situation, and not Donald Trump. So
Axios reports the call between Trump and Netanyahu was tense. This is a piece of the outlet posting yesterday, quote, summarizing Trump's remarks to Netanyahu. The U.S. official said, "You're effing crazy. You'd be in prison if it weren't for me. I'm saving your A. Everybody hates you now. Everybody hates Israel because of this." A second source briefed on the call said Trump was, quote, pissed, and at one point yelled at Netanyahu, "What?"
Everybody hates Israel because of this. I don't know what he's talking about when he says this, but he's not wrong that everybody hates Israel. Israel is the most hated country in the world right now, just according to polling. Like, everybody does hate Israel, but it's not because of Bibi Netanyahu. It's not because of his, like, bad strategy or something. It's because the entire nation state of Israel was designed to be a settler colonial project in the 21st century. Like, in an era, like a post anti-colonial struggle era, obviously that's going to piss off the rest of the world. Like, I don't know. You can't keep, it's like if they decided to, they decided to enact like slavery or something in the 21st century. Like, yeah, that's going to piss off a lot of people, particularly all of the people who like threw off the yoke of slavery in the past. Like, when you're trying to be a colonial enterprise in the 21st century, that's going to, make you very, very unpopular, especially once people finally start breaking out of the propaganda that they've been taught for their entire lives, that Israel is some like moral, like beacon of Western civilization that is going to, soothe the barbarian hordes of Muslims over there, like we've been taught from a very young age or whatever. Like, once people start to break out of that Orientalist racist framing, they're going to start getting more and more upset, especially when it's our tax dollars, especially, that are, going over there. So, yes, everybody does hate Israel. You are correct, Trump, but there's nothing you can really do this point. Israel is on a fascist trajectory and is going to continue being on a fascist trajectory until either an external source comes and stops them. That would be how the Nazis were defeated in World War II, or an internal source of power rises up and pushes them back. And with America's backing, I don't know if it's possible for like Hezbollah and Hamas to actually fight back, in a way that would stop Israel, as long as America continues supporting Israel. Now, once America stops supporting Israel, then Israel would not be able to exist in the way it does today. But anyway, let's keep going.
What the F are you doing? Now, at this moment, Israeli troops remain in southern Lebanon. Overnight, there were a few sirens across northern Israel from Hezbollah rocket and drone attacks, as well as a small number of Israeli strikes in Lebanon. Civilians in the Lebanese capital of Beirut are breathing a sigh of relief following evacuation orders that were issued by the Israeli military on Monday.
We were certainly happy about U.S. President Trump's intervention. We were glad that a ceasefire was reached and that people got some relief from the displacement, suffering, and difficult conditions they have.
Well, don't get too happy. It's going to happen. It's going to keep going on, man. But I will say also that recently there was that like they captured some castle or something, I think Israel did. And like, I think that like people need to understand that they've done this before, right? They've captured that castle before, I'm pretty sure. Back in when they occupied that portion of Lebanon for, I think, like 20 years back. When was it? Did Israel occupy southern Lebanon? Okay, let's see. The long-term occupation, 1982 to 2000. They captured, I think, the entire portion, I thought, up to the Litani River, or they they got to that point, I thought, or no, that was 1978, where they got to the Litani River, and then they were pushed out almost immediately. Then this one was where they had a long-term occupation of southern Lebanon in a security zone, but then they were eventually forced out again by Hezbollah. That was, like I said, like 20 years that they occupied that portion. This one I don't think will last as long as 20 years, like this current occupation they're doing. So a lot of times what they do is they get these they get some sort of like strategic position that they can use as a propaganda victory to sell to their public, like when they got to the Litani River and then immediately pulled out, right? This long-term occupation, they were constantly being peppered with like skirmishes, I guess, with Hezbollah the entire time that they occupied that buffer zone before. This one I think is a lot larger, what they are currently see exactly. This is exactly what happened. Okay. Though it initially occupied the southern half of the country and reached as far as Beirut, the IDF eventually withdrew to a designated security zone in southern Lebanon. I think this is exactly what's going to happen this time, is they're doing this, like, they're trying to go as far as they can to try to sell it to their public that they're achieving something, even though they're not achieving really anything. And then they're going to withdraw to some sort of security buffer zone, at which point they will be in constant skirmishes for a long period of time, maybe 5-10 years. I don't know how long, with Hezbollah, as they lose maybe 1 or 2 IDF soldiers a week, just indefinitely for those 5-10 years, and then eventually they will withdraw in the exact same way that they did here. That's assuming that there's not any huge radical shifts in geopolitics, like in terms of like negotiated settlement here. If America does go through with a negotiated settlement that includes Israel, and America is forced to tame and rein in Israel, and which essentially would cement Iran's power, like hegemonic power in the region, like almost internationally recognized at that point, then that would obviously change that assessment. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Israel will be pushed out eventually. It's just whether it's going to be immediate or in 5-10 years or even longer. I don't know. I don't know how long it'll take. But as long as Hezbollah is there, and as long as organic resistance is there, even if it's not Hezbollah or any other, there will always be resistance to occupation. So they'll get pushed out eventually, but it's just the amount of suffering that the Lebanese people have to endure during that is, sad. But anyway,
have been living through. It's truly heartbreaking. We are a people. We are human beings. We are not enemies of anyone, and we do not want war. We were very happy when we heard that Trump had become involved in the issue.
Well, that's stupid. I'm sorry, buddy. If you don't understand the dynamics here of what Israel is and what they're trying to do to you, and particularly your civilian population in Lebanon, nothing's going to make sense to you. If you don't understand Israel as a settler colonial expansionist project that is trying to genocide or wipe out the natives, or expropriate them, or mass Trail of Tears them into whatever surrounding country or whatever. Like, if you don't understand Israel as that project and America as the backer of that project, then you're going to continue to be sorely disappointed and not being able to understand why Israel is behaving the way it is.
More than 3,400 people have been killed in Lebanon since the war restarted again earlier this year. We do know talks are taking place this week between the Lebanese and Israeli governments aimed at reaching a deal to normalize ties and disarm Hezbollah.
Something to
Never
watch.
going to
Thank
happen.
you, Trey. Trey.
Never going to happen. Israel won't. Israel's in too much of a messianic rage right now that they're not going to be able to even make any sort of agreement with Lebanon, I don't think. And even if they did, they're not going to allow the Lebanese army to be strong enough to even take on Hezbollah. And I think that if they went into a full-scale civil war type situation where the Lebanese army is fighting against Hezbollah, that'll just give Israel the opportunity that they seek in order to try to continue expanding and taking as much territory as possible, which would then make the entire populace of Lebanon be like, why the fuck are we fighting Hezbollah when we should be fighting Israel? I don't know. I think that the internal political dynamics are just too constricting to allow this sort of fantasy that the Lebanese army will somehow be able to dismantle Hezbollah. I just don't think that's going to happen.
Yanks reporting in Tel Aviv. Jillian's got it.
All right, let's go ahead and bring in retired U.S. Navy Commander Kirk Lippold. He's former commander of the USS Cole. Sir, regarding this Trump-Netanyahu phone call and the reporting surrounding it, does anything in there surprise you?
I think what surprises me a little bit, Jillian, is the intensity of the call. President Trump is really trying to work a deal with Iran so that they do not get a nuclear weapon. But by the same token, you have to remember, Bibi Netanyahu has to look out for the strategic interests of his country. Given what happened in October 7th, given what Hezbollah has been doing for literally decades in firing into Israel, he has to make sure that his people are safe. I think Israel at this point has reached a point where they're like, no, we are not going to tolerate this anymore, and we're going to go after those who mean to do us harm.
It's a great
It's not like they didn't already try this before, though. They've tried this so many times and they failed every time. I don't understand what they think is different this time. They are in a Israel is in a strategically and militarily weakened position right now. They are weaker than they've ever been right now. I don't understand why they think that they would in any way be able to control and hold on to this territory, while Hezbollah is seemingly stronger than it's ever been. It doesn't make any sense to me, the material conditions on the ground that makes them think that they would be able to do this. I think it's delusional. I honestly think that Israel is just straight up delusional about what they are even capable of as a military, as a standing army. I think that they're completely delusional. So I mean, we'll see if I'm right or wrong, but I do not see them in any way, shape, or form. Even if America continued to allow them to doesn't enter into a negotiated settlement, I don't think that they would be able to hold this territory.
Illustration of the reality that no matter how close the special relationship is between the United States and Israel on certain issues, at certain moments, the interests between the two countries diverge. And that's just the way, global relations work. Interestingly, sir, you say that even though the regime has now said they don't want to negotiate with the U.S. anymore, they have not adjusted their military posture in a way that reflects that to be the truth. Can you talk to us about that?
Absolutely. Iran right now is still working to try and rebuild what the United States destroyed. They're still setting up their radar sites. They're still tracking the shipping within the Strait of Hormuz. They are still working to be able to launch drones. They have attempted to put mine-laying vessels.
Yeah, and they were also doing that all during wartime as well, and during the peace or the ceasefire negotiations. And they're just talking about just like doing normal, like that's what you do. Like, when things are, when targets are hit or whatever, you just rebuild as during wartime and, during ceasefires. I don't know what he's trying to say here.
Out into the waters. The United States has struck at each of those in the defensive measures with the Central Command Commander, Admiral Cooper. But at the end of the day, right now, even though they say they have walked away, those negotiations are still going on. If Iran knows that if they walked away from the negotiating table, that would put the United States in a position where they would have no choice but to restart kinetic operations against them. And if
I don't think that's what they think at all. I think that they want to cement their gains. I do think that that's the case. I think they are engaging in good faith in the negotiations to try to cement their gains that they have achieved on the battlefield, which they will get eventually. There will be a negotiated settlement, I think, eventually. I don't necessarily believe that America is just going to turn around and leave without any negotiated settlement, because I think that would just be I don't think that would be viewed as anything other than a complete and total failure. And I don't think America can while America could try, is going to have a hard time spinning any sort of negotiated settlement as a win, when it's clearly not. I think that they would have an even harder time if they just left and then Iran just de facto controls the strait, right? Or Iran has destroyed all of the bases in the region and is going will potentially do more strikes if they feel like America is trying to rebuild or something, right? I don't know. I think that this will end with some sort of negotiated settlement. But I don't think Iran cares if they go back into a hot war or not. I still think it was a strategic miscalculation for Iran to allow America to enter into the ceasefire at the time that it did. I think that they probably should have kept firing missiles until America ran out of interceptors, and then a couple weeks after that, so that they could show that, oh, we can continue fighting, and it's going to take you 10 years to rebuild your stockpiles that we just had you blow through in 6 weeks or whatever, right? I think it would have been better for them to just keep going past that point and then try to enter into a negotiated settlement, while they're at the height of their obvious advantages, right? Because the longer the ceasefire goes on, I think the more people seem to kind of forget that Iran was just obliterating everything in the region. Iran had total and complete control over escalation, and America was basically out of missiles and stuff. People seem to have just forgotten those were the actual material conditions on the ground. And these people are delusional if they don't think that Iran is going to ask for at least more than what they accomplished militarily. So but yeah, anyway,
combat operations ensue. The United States this next time is not going to hesitate, not going to pause. President Trump is going to utterly destroy them and then begin to take down
they would have another 4 to 6 weeks of missiles, by the way, of missile supplies before they are completely out. That's probably the main reason that they're not starting up a kinetic war again, is that we are reaching the literal material constraints that America is unable to produce enough weapons for their war.
Pause. President Trump is going to utterly destroy them and then begin to take down the infrastructure that supports their economy, so that it will literally drop them to the knees.
How?
In addition to what we are trying to do with the blockade that's in place.
Everybody is very...
How? You didn't do it last time. Why'd you fail last time then? Why'd you fail at doing that last time? How are you going to do this? You failed at doing it last time. How are you going to do it this time? It's going to be it will be the exact same thing that happened last time if they decide to go into a hot war again. Nothing would change. It would be the exact same outcomes. America would require a ceasefire after another like 4 to 6 weeks of war because they would be completely out of missiles and interceptors again. Like they never tell me how anything's going to change. It really annoys me that they always seem to like just hope that if we just keep doing the same thing over and over again, something different is going to happen. And it's like, I think someone said sometime that's the definition of insanity.
They focused on the timeline with this conflict from the very beginning of Operation Epic Fury. Do you think it's important? Do you think there is some kind of obvious deadline or point that we reach in the imminent future where this continuation of the conflict becomes problematic? Or do you think President Trump really just has a free hand here?
I think President Trump is doing his best. He is trying to give diplomacy every last chance to work. But at the end of the day, Iran continues to undermine it. Let's face it, they have a 47-year track record of not being truthful, of lying, of continuing to work to undermine and destabilize the Middle East. President Trump may be trying to do it, but at some point, time is no longer going to benefit the United States as much as it's benefiting Iran and their ability to rebuild. The last thing the U.S. needs to do is get.
Well, that's a surprising admission that time is on Iran's side, because it is. Time is on Iran's side. The longer this goes on, the worse of a negotiating position America is going to be in, just because of the global energy supply is going to be down by 20%. And eventually markets are going to have to catch up to reality. They say Brent, or I guess this is crude oil. I don't know if that's Brent crude or whatever, but it's under 100 still, which is absurd given the actual, likelihood, like the small, tiny likelihood of any sort of negotiated settlement in the near term. And we're going to start running into like parts where we're like running out of stockpiles too. I heard that was going to be early June is when that was supposed to happen. So, we'll see what happens in the next month or so as people do start running out of stockpiles and, we start getting more blackouts across the globe. But yeah, I don't know. I think that I'm still leaning towards this is going to be a long conflict. It's going to be a long conflict. I think this is going to keep going for a while. Time is on Iran's side, though, so we'll see. It's only eventually America will have to realize that they lost and will have to accept Iran's conditions if they want, global energy supplies to stabilize. So, okay, let's go ahead and move on to. We'll do this one. Okay, so people, I guess the free speech, Western liberal democracies, they always prided themselves on their free speech and their like allowance of debate in the marketplace of ideas, right? Well, I got news for you. Not no more. In fact, you can have free speech about anything, right? You can talk about anything except for one thing. You're not allowed to talk about Israel anymore because Cenk Uygur and his nephew Hasan Piker have been banned from entering the United Kingdom because they have been critical of Israel. I'm sorry to tell you people, but I'm sorry to tell you UK Hassan Abi fans out there, but he's not going to be allowed back into your country. So I just read about this today. I don't know a whole lot about it. I think that he was going to go to the South by Southwest festival or something. I can't remember. It was something like that. So let's go ahead and watch this reporting from The Hill about them not being allowed in. Since it's from The Hill, it's going to be like super Republican coded. They got that dweeby little dude, it looks like, who's going to talk to us about it. But let's go ahead and watch this and we'll see what they're talking about.
Cenk Uygur and his nephew Hasan Piker, both banned from Britain. The two confirmed that they have officially been blocked from entering the UK to speak at events. Cenk posted on X, quote, "I've been banned for criticizing Israel. Are we free anymore? This is oppression of Western citizens by our own governments on behalf of a different country." And Piker took it a step further, writing in his own post, "The West is betraying, quote, liberal values for a genocidal fascist foreign government. Soon we will all become Israel."
Well, I mean, there is a long tradition of liberals aligning with fascists, right? Like, eventually, liberals always align with fascists. Like, it seems like it just always happens every single time throughout history. Is that eventually liberals just align with fascists, and that's because at the end of the day, liberals they fundamentally agree with capital accumulation and with capitalism, unlimited capital accumulation, and a part of that is extracting resources from the third world, which is what Israel is there to do. So destabilize the Middle East, and to make it easier for the West to exploit and extract resources from that resource-rich region. That's the whole reason they exist. And so this is just probably one of the first big signs that that the liberals are just going to align with fascists again. So I guess I would just say, be prepared, people. Be prepared. It's time to start, knowing who your enemies are. You got to know who your enemies are if you're going to, live in the world that we're about to likely live in, because it doesn't seem like liberals are going to, try to resist fascism. It seems like they're going to lean into it at this point.
But the British Interior Ministry said in a statement that their travel authorization was revoked because, quote, their presence in the UK may not...
The interesting thing, though, is that they're not doing it on behalf of their own nationalism, right? Because fascism has been historically a nationalistic project, right? Fascism in Germany wasn't about it wasn't about Zimbabwe or something, right? This is weird because it's Great Britain and the United States essentially becoming fascist and authoritarian on behalf of another nation state, which is interesting. And the reason why I feel like that's interesting is because it's kind of showing what I've suspected for a little bit now of how this is going to go, is that we're entering into an era of global fascism and global capitalism, right? The wealth accumulation is no longer is no longer country specific. It's over the global capitalist system overarches the entire world now. It's every country, right? And Israel is obviously a part of that. Like I said before, Israel is a destabilizing factor for a resource-rich region to allow global pedo-billionaires to go, capitalists, to go be vultures and the things that they always do, and take those resources for the cheap, using Israel's destabilization as the way to do that. So I guess it kind of makes sense that the UK would, ban people on behalf of another nation state, because the liberals, instead of aligning with just the fascists of their country and the nationalist, fascist nationalist sentiments of their people, they're aligning with the global I can't say nationalist, but the global capitalist sentiments of the billionaires, to suppress people to continue and try to maintain their extreme profits at the cost of the vast majority of people. If you ask the vast majority of British people, they would agree with Hasan's worldview when it comes to Israel. People hate Israel. So these countries, I don't know. It is very interesting, and this is kind of, I don't know, like I said at the beginning, this is the first indicator that we're getting, or not the first indicator, but a very big warning light, one of the biggest ones that I've seen so far, that liberals are going to inevitably side with the fascists, like they always have.
Not be conducive to the public good. Did not specifically mention Israel. We'll get to that in a minute. The two were slated to speak at the South by Southwest London Festival and the University of Oxford, where many debates are held. I'll start. This is outrageous. I'm absolutely outraged that the Labour government of the UK, to be clear, this is the Labour government doing this. This is the ostensibly liberal progressive government banning.
Well, they're the originally they were supposed to be like a labor party, like they were supposed to be for, workers, right? Like, but they've long since abandoned that. Now they are, I would just say, like a standard. If you want to, they would be pretty similar, I think, to the Democratic Party, like, to be honest, at this point, in terms of being a liberal, like, bourgeois party.
To left commentators from speaking, and they're citing public maybe not conducive to public order. What weaselly language? Maybe not conducive to public order. Again, the government did not concede that this was done at Israel's behest or specifically because of their anti-Israel speech, although I think it is obvious that is the reason they were in fact banned.
Hey. Good for you, The Hill. I'm actually surprised that this dweeby little dude isn't like an Israel dick rider. I'm going to be honest. He really, really looks like one.
And it is ludicrous. It is unfortunately within the UK's power to do. They don't have the First Amendment. Moreover,
it wouldn't be in the UK's power to do if our government said, no, the fuck, you're not going to do that. When other countries when other countries ban Americans from entering their country, usually if it's for any other reason, that would initiate a huge diplomatic row between America and that country, where they would say, how dare you block our citizens from going into your country. It would be seen as like an insult, right? An insult to America, that you would even dare challenge our power and dare challenge our people's freedom of movement, right? Like that's how it used to be back when America wasn't as weak as it is now. Now that America is like significantly weakened, when this country, and obviously, for the nation state of Israel, they would never do this, but even if it was for a non-Israel reason, if Great Britain said, oh, we're not allowing some American citizen into our country because I don't know, because they were associated with the Klan or something, right? I don't know. Like, even then, like, something that like the right wingers who are currently in charge of our government would be, really like pissed off about or something. I just don't think that we probably don't even have the diplomatic sway anymore to even do anything about it. Like, I just feel like America is just in such a weakened state right now that like they wouldn't be able to actually manage that situation and then influence our ally Great Britain, vassal state, really, our vassal state Great Britain, to actually undo that thing. I don't think that we'd be able to do that in our current state.
The speech protections apply to people even in our country. It applies to citizens and then people who are in the country, not to someone trying to come into the country, although we should, as proponents of Western values, liberal values, free speech, welcome debate on Israel or any other topic. I despise Hasan Piker and the views he represents. I critique them all the time. Cenk Uygur, I disagree with sometimes, I agree with other times. I like him personally. We've had him on the show. He's sat in this chair. I've engaged with him socially. I don't think he's very anti-Israel. I don't think he's anti-Semite at all. But that's really not the point. The point is that these ideas should be debated, and it makes it seem like you're afraid of a debate on this issue, the pro-Israel side, when you do something.
Well, they are, and also they like. I do think that it was like Jewish advocacy groups or whatever who were trying to get this to happen, is my understanding, is that they were they were advocating for the government to like ban Hasan and Cenk from coming in. That's so we know where this came from. Like we do know that it was because of Israel. Anybody who tries to say that's not because of Israel is intentionally engaging in trying to like misinformation, I guess, trying to get people to think it's something that it wasn't.
Like this, it makes your side look weak Like, it can't argue its point fairly, and so it has to silence people who are going to disagree. There's no threat
Their side
to
is
public
weak.
order.
Exactly. Their side is weak. Israel is like, the pro-Israel position is in the weakest position it's ever been, which is exactly why it's lashing out. It's the exact same reason that America is currently in the weakest position, like globally and militarily, that it's ever been in. So it's also lashing out right now with all of its various actions abroad, like military actions abroad. And these are two sides of the exact same coin. It's a diminished, weakened, like empire lashing out. And in the same way, Israel is in a diminished, weakened state, and it's lashing out.
That either of these people represent.
Or more specifically, its lobby is lashing
no
out.
Threat to public order that either of these people represent. There's not going to be they're not going to cause an uprising against the government or against Jewish people or something of that nature. They're not terrorists or political organizers at all. They're speakers. They want to speak on this subject. They were invited to do a debate. And
by the way, I am all for banning certain people from coming into your country, particularly agitators, like right-wing agitators who, like, let's say that you have I don't know, like a group of hooligans, right? I'm going to say Zionist hooligans because this is something that happens a lot when it comes to like soccer and stuff, right? Where there will be a bunch of like Zionist hooligans who will go like wrap themselves in Israeli flags and then start going like rampaging down streets and like trying to beat up brown people, right? Like these are people that you might not want to let into your country. Now they're going to let those people into their country all day. Like they're not going to stop those people, but those are people who I would say aren't actually conducive to the public good. You don't have to let everybody into your country. I want to be clear. I don't have that belief. I do believe that if you're likely going to, try and start riots or something, then you can be banned. I think that's perfectly reasonable. There's no history that like Hasan or Cenk were going to do anything like that.
And we should rue the day it comes to this, that they're not allowed to express their view about Israel or about any other subject in the UK. Very dark day for free speech. One I've been warning about. Sorry, I swear I'll let you speak in a moment. That I have been warning about with the UK government and their approach to online speech for a variety. Everything's hate speech. Everything's this or that they're trying to ban. This will also affect political people, as it's now affecting Cenk and.
This is one of the things that I'm going to disagree with this guy on. One of many, I'm sure, but I don't see this as a like free speech or whatever. Like it's value neutral, I guess I would say, in that it can be used for good or it can be used for bad. And there are, in my opinion, speech and like incitement that is actual stuff that like I don't necessarily have a problem with being like curtailed. Like I said earlier, if you're, essentially like every country you go to, you start like pro-Israel riots, like then yeah, that like I think that is fine to ban you for that reason. But when it comes to just like actual speech, though, like even if it's someone I abhor, I guess, like say Charlie Kirk or somebody who like I think has terrible ideology, I don't think that I would say that they should be banned from a country for that particular reason. If you don't have a history of inciting people, and if there's not going like if there's not going to be some big like violent rally for a particular speaker or something, then I mean I guess it's probably fine. But I also I don't know. I don't treat this as like there's such thing as like speaking out on behalf. Like I don't like to treat everything as like moral equivalence. I don't like to treat everything as blanket statements either. I think that's a very reductive way to analyze things, and that you should be able to say like, oh, this speech advocating on behalf of the Palestinians, right? Advocating against genocide. That is good speech. That is not hate speech. That's speech that should be celebrated and cherished and protected. But like Chud the builder or whatever the fuck his name is going around and yelling the N-word at black people is bad speech. We don't have to equally protect those two things, you know? Like we don't have to like equivocate. Like it doesn't have to be an absolute, right? Like I don't believe in this idea of like free speech absolutism. But like I just like I don't know. I think that a lot of people get kind of stuck on that. Like if you like you can have like moral implications of like what we want to allow versus not allow when it does come to speech. And I think generally speaking, it goes towards incitement. How much are you inciting? And that's a tricky subject. It's not always black and white, how much people are inciting actual violence or whatever. But I do think that there is actual incitement. I think there's actual, you know, like evil rhetoric out there that can be policed. I think that I'm actually okay with that. If it is, you know, like sufficiently dangerous, and that's a very arbitrary position that can be adjudicated depending on the society and what people want in terms of their rules and regulations. I would also say that in this particular circumstance, the British government is doing something that the majority of its people do not want them to do. This is not something agreed upon by British society, that this type of speech should be banned, right? If like most people are on the side of Hasan Piker when it comes to speaking out against the Nazi state of Israel. So there's that as well. But I do think that we can, you know, police the boundaries of free speech if we have enough of a democratic process to make those make those assessments and adjudicate them.
Hasan, and people who purport to defend free speech should denounce this, even if you do not agree with Cenk Uygur, even if you don't agree at all, as I don't, with Hasan Piker. This is nevertheless very, very bad.
I'm a little bit surprised about this from this guy because a lot of times, I mean, everybody knows that the right does not truly care about free speech at this point. They care about power, and like policing speech is a form of power. According to the right, it should be, we can say whatever we want and you can't say whatever we don't want you to say, like that. And it's similar to like the gerrymandering thing, where it's like the right should be able to gerrymander as much as they want, and Democrats should not be able to gerrymander at all. It's all about power for them, and they see free speech as a vehicle for their power. So the vast majority of them do not care one way or the other. If the anti-free speech, you know, happens to their enemies, they are perfectly happy with that. I've long held that like nobody is an actual free speech absolutist. I assure you, nobody actually is. Not this guy, not any of these right wingers. And there might be some on the left who are closer to free speech absolutism, but I think when push comes to shove, most people aren't.
There's a slippery slope telling other countries that are sovereign nations what they should do from the perspective of U.S. rules and laws. So the UK has no obligation to admit speakers from anywhere, right? They don't. That's part of their laws don't require that. They don't have to accept free speech in the same way that we do.
Yeah, but if America was stronger and if America cared about this issue, then the UK would be under political pressure to allow this to happen. This is more of a slap in the face to America in general of not being able to influence. I mean, this is different. This is a different case because this is about Israel. But if this was for any other issue, this would be a diplomatic row with America for not being able to, coerce their vassal state into allowing Americans in.
And so they have the opportunity to make these choices. I don't have to agree with them, but it's also not the country that I live in, right? So, I mean, we can call them to task for every decision that they make, but they don't govern themselves by the same rules as us. So if they say that they can't come, well, then they can't come. Now, I think the bigger issue for me is unpacking the reasoning why. If they left some vague statement, the way you described it, and said that they would cause civil, some unrest or create public uncomfortability. I don't know what they said.
The reason why it should scare you, though, lady, is because of what it implies for the future. This is like a big step forward in liberals aligning with fascists, and it will likely continue. And it'll likely get worse. And Israel is like the starting point. Like, this isn't where it's going to end. This is where it's starting. They're using Israel as the initial way to break through certain ideas of liberalism, to chip away at them, such as like free speech or freedom of movement, or socially, like being allowed to be gay in polite society or whatever, right? They're going to start with something like Israel, and then they're going to expand it wider and wider. And it's probably, I'm just going to go ahead and say it's probably not going to apply to right-wing viewpoints. Like, it's probably only going to get more and more it's only probably going to expand more and more towards like all different types of left-wing viewpoints, if I had to guess, is where this goes from here.
They said something that makes no sense. Like, that's very much like,
they said is BS.
Yeah, loosely, that they're going to create chaos basically by their presence in essence. And it's like, well, if this is tied, if you didn't say that it's connected to anti-Semitism or something that you feel that they said specifically, then what is the exact discourse that's going to cause so much chaos when they come to the country? And I think people really want people to not throw a stone and hide their hand. They want to know exactly what the reasoning for people being banned is. And so Cenk is being very direct and specific about why he feels that he's being banned. Obviously, that dot is easy for people to connect to watch his show and see what he talks about. But the UK is not really giving any specific information. So obviously people have questions. If they find out that they're banned from this country because of things that they might criticize Benjamin Netanyahu or the operation of Israel's government, well, that's problematic, especially because they're not asking to enter Israel. They're asking to enter the UK. And so people have even more questions surrounding.
There's also a great irony in that, like, they're claiming that it's like anti-Semitic, what Cenk says about like how Israel controls America, or how Israel controls the West more broadly. And then the nation state of Britain bans them from entering because they criticized Israel. It's like, you're essentially just proving his point, and you're saying that his point is anti-Semitic, but you're proving that it's reality. So I guess you're proving that reality is anti-Semitic then. Now, I don't believe that that's anti-Semitic to say that that Israel controls aspects of the power in America or aspects of power in Britain. I firmly do believe that they do, but I don't... But I don't see that as anti-Semitic at all, because that's the Zionist project of colonial expansion and resource extraction, which is separate from Jewishness, like Jewish people. So, but yeah, whatever. I don't know. I think I'm done with this one. I've talked about it enough. I already gave like my general thoughts on it. I don't think it's okay. I don't think it's good. And I think it's going to be weaponized much more in the future against any sort of left-wing viewpoints, like any sort of anti-capitalist viewpoints, any sort of socialist viewpoints, any sort of like trade unionist viewpoints. I think that in the end, this is the sort of like first major alignment of the liberals, aka the Labor Party, aligning with fascists. And I think that we're going to start seeing a lot more of it. It does not look good for liberalism out there, people. Liberalism is dying, and what's coming to replace it is not what I would prefer personally. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. I'm going to move on to this one, I think. We're going to be... So today, I think, is a big primary day for the Democratic Party in particular. I think there might be some Republican primaries going on too. I'm going to be honest. Like I said, I've been in Chicago the past few days. I have not been paying super close attention to all of these races. I'm hoping that this video from MSDNC, it will hopefully help us figure out like what these new what all of these primaries are like, who all is involved in them, and maybe we can give a little insight of like how it's going to indicate the future of the Democratic Party. That's kind of what I'm hoping for this video. So let's go ahead and watch this MSDNC video, and we'll see what's going on.
Now, Eugene Robinson, Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist and an MS Now political analyst, and Alicia Menendez, co-host of MS Now's The Weeknight, soon to be host of On the Line with Alicia Menendez. Such an exciting day to have you both here in person. Eugene, some of these races are being framed simply progressive versus moderate. But is it really about a new generation of Democrats who say it's time to get rid of the old guard?
Yeah, I mean, there's some progressive versus moderate, but I think it's, for the most part, it's new generation versus old generation. I just think people, this political...
Bad. No, that's a bad assessment. And it's not progressive versus moderate. It is... I mean, it is just straight up class warfare. Like it is billionaire corporate backed politicians versus people who are actually trying to govern, right? People who are actually trying to, to like canvas and fight for the needs of the masses, the working class. It is straight up just class warfare. There are, like, the classic example would be Chuck Schumer, right? A billionaire backed, Israel aligned, like completely out of touch with the average Democratic voter and barely does anything to try to get anything for the average worker, for the average working class individual. Compared to, say, Zoran Mamdani, who is a person who just says, here are my 5 key policy proposals that I'm going to do to make your life better as a working class individual. And then he actually goes out and fights for those things. That is what the true war of the Democratic, like inside civil war inside of the Democratic Party is about. I don't think it's this young versus old thing. The biggest counterexample of that would just be Bernie Sanders. He is like 170 and he is like one of the most beloved, like, it's like viewed as a fighter for working class individuals, like potentially the highest rated member of Congress, like for when it comes to like fighting for working class people. So I don't think it has anything to do with age, to be honest.
Political class, this ruling political class, is not seen by the country to have done a very good job. And this ruling class of the Democratic Party is seen to have allowed Donald Trump to be elected twice. I mean, just to put it harshly.
That's true.
And so, I think people are ready to turn a page.
But not just the rulers of the Democratic Party, also all of the consultants and billionaires that helped them, like who like tried to convince people and tried to tried to convince people that like being moderate was somehow going to be a way to victory. I think it's like people have to understand this by now, right? That like pivoting to the center in an era of fascism is probably the dumbest strategy you can possibly imagine. As the Republican Party becomes more extreme, people want more extreme when it comes to like the left, right? Like that's how it works. And like the more you pivot to the center, the less electable you become during an age of extreme politics. When everybody wants radical change, you don't want to be like, I'm the one right in the center. Like that is a terrible message that is going to lose every single time. So that's what the consultants and the Democratic Party establishment and all the corporate backed donors have been saying was more electable for the past 12 years at this point, or like I guess 10 years really, like since Trump at least, and they've failed. Or I guess, well, with Hillary too, yeah, whatever. But that strategy has completely failed over and over again. They're I don't know. It's the entire apparatus, the entire DNC apparatus is currently flailing because they have failed spectacularly so many times. And now there's these new up and comers who are trying to actually take over that machinery, wrestle it from them as they slowly die and have a death grip on it, right? Like where they don't want it to happen. So.
And I think being an experienced incumbent is probably a liability right now.
And that's exactly the message we've heard from David Hogg. Many people know him. He was a gun control activist. He's been basically going around the country in different districts and saying, listen, it's time to get rid of the old guard. It's time to have fresh voices, fresh ideas.
And what happened to him for saying that? What happened to him for saying the truth? He got fired. He was fired. He was fired for saying the truth. Because, like I've said many, many times before, the Democratic Party does not want to win. They do not want a mandate. They do not want to win by overwhelming numbers. They would rather lose than actually have to be responsive to the will of the people. When it comes to what the Democratic voter base wants, they would rather lose on their terms than actually win. And that is a perfect emblem of it, is firing David Hogg, who is telling them way back before this was like common knowledge, even in like the average wine mom liberals understanding that that these people are negative when it comes to actually being able to win elections. Like David Hogg was saying that before this was like common knowledge amongst the Democratic Party base, and he was fired for it. Same with Hasan, who was like out there telling Kamala exactly what she would need to do, how she would need to distance herself from Biden in order to win, how she needed to address the Israel issue that she was unwilling to address, how she needed to create an actual platform and policy positions that people could identify her by, so she wasn't identified by her opposition. Like, this was all information that was necessary for her to win, and then she ignored it and followed the donors followed the consultants, what they told her, and she lost. And so yeah, we're just seeing we're seeing them just try desperately to lose, as opposed to allow these Democrats, these insurgent Democrats, to actually win, take power, and govern effectively, because that is a nightmare to the consulting class. If you get these insurgent politicians in there and they are able to accomplish more within their first month than a standard Democratic politician does in their entire term, similar to how Zoran is basically accomplishing more in his first month than any other mayor has ever done in New York. That is a straight up nightmare for these consultants who make hand over fist by telling Democrats how to lose just the right way in order to make as much money as possible.
I don't know. Do you think that what happens in California, particularly with the three races where you see people in their 70s and 80s versus people half their age, that's going to give us some clues?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to learn a lot tonight about where this generational fight is headed, whether that argument in and of itself is enough to move primary voters. I don't know about you, Eugene, but most of the Democrats I've spoken to say, yes, there are these dividing lines, but they are largely unified tonight in the effort to turn the page on Donald Trump. And if there is a tension, it's this question of how best to do that. But you look at a state like Texas, and they're really running what I would call a patchwork of candidates. In the Rio Grande Valley, there are some more moderate, some might even say conservative candidates the Democrats think are what's going to be necessary in order to win there. And then throughout the state, there are some much more progressive candidates who can win in some of those very blue districts. And so it is, I think tonight, we have to be careful to.
This is also wrong. Left populist politics is going to can win wherever it is applied. If you go out there and say that you are pro working class, you can win in any state. It can be conservative. It can be completely progressive or whatever. If you go out there and say that you are going to improve the lives of the working class individuals, it will work everywhere. You can aesthetically dress it up with stuff around the edges to make it more palatable to Americans who are, largely speaking, brain dead when it comes to politics, who don't understand left-right dynamics whatsoever. But if you go out there and say that you are for working class individuals, but you're wearing a cowboy hat and boots or something, a lot of American hogs will be like, well, that ain't like any Democrat I ever heard, and then they'll go and be like, oh, maybe I'll vote for them this time. You know what I'm saying? I think that it's a mistake to think that left populism is not going to be popular regardless. Now, do I think that you should go out there being in a super conservative district and be centering your entire campaign around how you want non-binary people to be able to get their hormone replacement therapy so that they can compete in like women's sports or something. I don't think that you should probably center your campaign around that. That doesn't mean throw like transgender people under the bus. But that means you can aesthetically dress up your campaign of like not really centering that on your campaign. And when people ask, you can, obviously defend your beliefs or whatever. But I think that you can modify what you're putting at the forefront of your campaign for various districts. And that aesthetic difference, I think, is what most people code in their head as like conservative versus like progressive. If in my personal opinion, that's how it usually works.
To not extrapolate too much out to what this means nationally.
For Democrats, what a concept. Running an appropriate candidate in the appropriate district.
All politics is local. It depends on where you are and knowing your audience.
No, and it has to. It has to, because, there are districts in California that are not the same as those in Iowa, and...
You know what every single person wants from their politician, though? They want to know, what are you going to do to materially improve my life? That is what everybody wants. It's the easiest thing in the world. Go out, ask people what they want, then go out and tell them you will get them what they want. And then when you're elected, follow through and actually do it. Those are the things that you should do. When it comes to economic policies, that's literally all you need to do. That is universal. That applies to every single district across the entire country.
Part of California, they're different from another part of California. So the candidates ought to be different too.
My big question too is why Republicans are not having this same battle for the soul of their party, right? Like, as much energy as there is on the Democratic side.
Because they sold it.
Correct. And I think if we're talking about turning the page, the limitation of what we're going to see tonight.
Wait, what? No, not because they sold it. No. They're not having this problem because both sides of their party are fundamentally aligned with capital. They are on the same side. Like the old guard, the McConnells and stuff, are fundamentally on the same side as the Trump Republicans. Both of them are vehicles for attaining more wealth into less hands, right? Whereas the Democratic Party, there is an actual problem here. Like they are unable to win anymore with centrist neoliberalism, which is on the side of capital. And then you have insurgents who are coming in who are against that. And so there is an actual clash here. There is a class war that is going on inside of the Democratic Party. When it comes to the Republicans, it's like, whether you want overt fascism to take to seize all of the wealth and like forcibly like transfer it from the working class to the upper class with guns, or if you want to like slowly do that over time via neoconservatism, like they're basically the same ideology, just with different timelines. So there's not that much of a conflict there. There's much more of a conflict when it comes to the Democratic Party here.
Is that the reckoning is not happening where it really needs to happen.
Where does it need to happen?
Okay, I hope they talk about some of these elections here. Because that was what I actually wanted to talk about. Well, I'll let it go a little bit longer, but I really wanted to hear more about who the candidates were that were running.
Specifically,
it would need to be in those Republican primaries. I mean, there would have to be people who were willing to run, even if they're not going to win. And almost more to the point, behind the scenes, there now has to be money that is spilling in the effort to present an alternative to what Trumpism has wrought.
You could argue that a lot of, I think, what we're seeing today stems from the party's loss. I mean, the Democratic Party's loss is in 2024. And now former First Lady Jill Biden is out. She's got a book, right? And she's...
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop this, and I'm going to maybe try watching a different video. Let's go ahead and watch the California one. That was the one that I was keeping up with the most. So this video is about the California primary. So let's see if they got any more info, because that's what. Here's Kornacki.
It's primary day in 6 days.
Okay, yeah, this will be better. This will be better, people. This is what I was looking for. So that was, I guess, that previous video was more an analysis of the Democratic Party and its old guard versus new guard sort of war that is happening, like a civil war that's happening in there. This video is going to be more about these actual primaries and like what's going on, hopefully, like in terms of like polling and all that sort of stuff. Because I think Kornacki is the polling guy. So he's not Enton though. I know Enton is another polling guy. We got lots of polling autists and when it comes to all of these cable TV stations, and I love every single one of them. All autists are beautiful. That's my opinion, especially polling autists. Let's go.
With millions of voters from New Jersey to Iowa to California casting their ballots today, some of the most closely watched contests are in the Golden State. The crowded field of candidates running to succeed. Gavin.
Okay, so we got Steyer, Hilton, Becerra, and Bianco. My understanding is that Steyer, Becerra, and I think there was another one. When it comes to Democrats, are like the primary, like the people who are near the top. I don't know if there's a polling advantage. They'll probably get into it here in a second. And then Hilton, I think, is the primary Republican candidate who potentially could win. This is a jungle primary where I think it's like the top. I can't remember. How does California? They'll probably get into it. Let's just keep going.
Newsom is governor. The top two candidates, regardless of party, will move on to November's general.
That's it. The top two members in the jungle primary move on to the actual general election, whether that's two Democrats, a Democrat and a Republican, or, I mean, God forbid, Republican. But yeah.
Election. That race was roiled by sexual assault allegations against one of the frontrunners, former Congressman Eric Swalwell, who dropped out of the race in April. In Iowa.
For what? For what? I think it was for, sexually assaulting people is my understanding, allegedly.
Meanwhile, Democrats will decide between moderate Josh Turek and progressive Zach Walz as they try to flip retiring Senator Joni Ernst's seat. On the Republican side, President Trump has endorsed Congresswoman Ashley Hinson, who is facing former state senator.
We can just call it then. Ashley Hinson's probably going to win that one.
Jim Carlin. So for more on how to watch tonight's results in California and elsewhere, I'm joined now by NBC News chief data analyst Steve Kornacki at the big board. Well, where he'll be spending much of tonight. Steve, thank you so much for joining us here. Let's start in New Jersey, where a congressman who's been out of sight for months will be on the ballot tonight. Why don't you walk us through what to expect tonight?
Yeah, this is the 7th district here in New Jersey, and on the Republican side here, you mentioned it is Tom.
What's that? Okay. Well, I'll talk to you about it later.
Kane Jr. unopposed for the Republican nomination here. But of course, Kane has not been seen now in some time publicly. Questions about his health. He has promised to have some disclosure here in the near future. We'll see what awaits after this primary. But meanwhile, on the Democratic side, this is the race in that district. Rebecca Bennett, a former Navy helicopter pilot, actually a biography there on the
another
surface,
grunt,
similar a bit to Mikey Sherrill,
the grunts are rising up, the former, the former military people.
Governor of New Jersey now, who previously was a congresswoman from the nearby 11th district. You see the opponents here for Bennett. The polling has put Bennett in the lead right here. The county organizations in this district, the Democratic organizations in New Jersey, they've been weakened in recent years. They used to have a ton of clout in these primaries. They still have some clout, and most of them have endorsed Bennett here. So Bennett, I think, goes into tonight as the favorite. If she does emerge, or whoever emerges, this obviously a very closely watched race in November. This is a district, take a look at this. Donald Trump carried the district by a single point in 2024. And in that governor's race, last November, Mikey Sherrill running as the Democratic candidate, she won this district. She won it narrowly, only by 2 points. So Trump won it by 1, Sherrill won it by 2. Kane, there's the question surrounding him as the Republican candidate. It's going to be very closely watched after tonight, certainly tonight and after tonight, all the way to November.
Well, Steve, there's a lot to watch really across the country. Let's turn now to California. Several key races will be following there. Everybody seems to be looking.
When it comes to New Jersey District 7, I don't really know much about these people.
And what's happening out west.
Yeah, start there with the governor's race here. So a couple, I think, two main questions tonight as we await the results here in California. 11 o'clock Eastern, polls close. These are the three candidates: Tom Steyer, a Democrat; Javier Becerra, a Democrat; and Steve Hilton, a Republican, who tend to be 1, 2, 3 in the polling here. Excuse me. I'm sorry for that. a little bit of water here. They tend to be 1, 2, 3, but the question is, what order, if they do finish 1, 2, 3, will it be? Because remember, California, top 2 primary. So the top.
And for those unaware, Steyer is the billionaire candidate, I believe. However, he has been one of the few ones to actually, I think, advocate for a billionaire tax. So like he seems to like actually be at least signaling to people that he is going to be a like, you know, left populist sort of candidate, even though it's hard to trust him because he's a billionaire. But that's, and I think he's also been using the classic like Trump line of like, I'm a billionaire, so I won't be influenced by, you know, moneyed interest or whatever. As far as I know, that if I had to pick one, I would probably vote for him out of these three. But that's my personal opinion.
Top 2 advance to the general election. Becerra, Steyer, if they go 1, 2, Republicans would be locked out here.
And that's to say that I don't necessarily trust him 100%, but he still so far seemed to advocate as more of a left populist, and that's why.
And the second piece of suspense here, Gabe, pardon me, with this race is, again, I apologize here. Second piece of suspense with this race is, will we even know tonight? Because California can be a slow vote counting state. The initial vote, the first half, will come in very quickly. But after that, if this is not resolved tonight, could be days, could be even up to a week.
Somebody get that man some water. Steve Kornacki.
I think Becerra is, from a lot of the polls so far, looks like Becerra is in the lead, from what I can tell. Steyer firmly in third place. Yeah, so that's where we're at right now, I think, in terms of that one. It looks like it's like, if everything goes like the polling indicates, it's going to be Becerra and Steve Hilton that advance. But we'll see what happens in the actual primaries tonight.
It's going to be a busy night for you. If you got enough juice in you, we can turn to Iowa. But if you need us to let you go to grab a drink of water, all good.
Happy to do Iowa. The cough just helped. So here in Iowa, look, if Democrats, the backdrop for this is if Democrats are going to get control of the Senate, it's a very uphill fight, but they're going to have to do it, among other things, winning at least 2 states that Trump carried by double digits. Iowa is one of those states that Democrats would like to put in play, but it's a tall order. Trump carried it, as you can see here, by 13 points in 2024, nearly 10 back in 2020 as he lost nationally. Here's the dynamic. Josh Turek, he's a state legislator from the western part of the state, Pottawatomie County out by Council Bluffs. His district that he represents actually voted for Trump. National Democrats, Chuck Schumer, for instance, want Turek as their candidate here. They feel he gives them a chance in a very, pro.
Okay, well then, if that's as much indicator as I need to say that Zach Walz is the one that you should vote for. If they're saying Chuck Schumer is backing Josh Turek, that means he's probably some centrist neo-lib hack who's not going to be able to defeat the Republican candidate in the general, if I had to guess. The only way you're going to be able to defeat a Republican in Iowa is if you run a left populist who codes as conservative, like just via their vibes or whatever. So I would have to assume, yeah, it says up here, Zach Walz repeatedly bashed Schumer's leadership. As state representative, Josh Turek rolls in cash from groups aligned with Schumer. So yeah, let's hope that Walz wins that one. This is the primary, so it'll be like, I think, people who are more tuned in. And this will be a good, I guess, indicator of this, like, sort of like purple-ish state of Iowa. I mean, more red, like, obviously, but like of like what could potentially play well there. Similar to like how Graham Plattner, like, you know how like Graham Plattner overtly defeated the establishment Chuck Schumer candidate for the Democrat position for that Senate seat or that Senate run. This will be a similar situation, I think. And I'm hoping that at the very least that we'll see Zach Walz prevail in the primary. And also the left populace will be more electable in the general anyway. So
pro-Trump state. Zach Walz is his opponent, is running against Chuck Schumer, it seems sometimes as much as Turek, saying he doesn't want Chuck Schumer to continue as the Senate leader. Now, he is a state senator who represents part of Johnson County. It's where the University of Iowa is. It's actually literally the most liberal, most Democratic state Senate district in Iowa. So quite a contrast there in terms of the districts these candidates come from. Again, national Democrats, they think a candidate like Turek puts it more in play, but Walz has been pitching his message at that Democratic base.
National Democrats have professionally lost for the past like 12 years, so I don't trust what the fuck they say. So, okay, well, there's some of them. I know New Jersey also has some. I think tonight, tomorrow we'll probably go over a lot of the results. So we'll see. Those are kind of the things that I'm looking at so far, but I'm not a super expert in like every single candidate who is running in all of these locations. I'm not that much of a politics freak to know all that. So let's go ahead and move on. I think I might have to skip over this Plattner. Well, do I care? Let's go ahead and start this Plattner one. I'm gonna go use the restroom, and then we'll see as I'm listening to it if I think it'll be worth going too deep into. But I guess so. Let's go ahead and start since the last time that we kind of talked about Plattner. There's been some revelations, I think, of like him sexting, I think, out like extramarital sexting with some I can't remember if it was with a staffer or with just a random person or something. And so this has been brought up like all over the news lately. So let's go ahead and start this. Like I said, I need to use the restroom, and then I'll come back and maybe give some analysis.
A lot of drama coming from Plattner's campaign. And this is a must-win race if Democrats want the Senate.
Jake, it definitely is. I mean, mathematically speaking, it is very difficult, if not impossible, for Democrats to win control of the Senate without winning Maine. And this is why. Susan Collins is the only Republican member of the Senate who's up this year, who's effectively from a blue state, a state that Kamala Harris won in 2024. That's why Democrats have placed so much hope in Maine. But at the same time, so much scrutiny is coming on Graham Plattner. He's an oyster farmer. He's never been in politics before. He's endured one sort of self-induced controversy after another. The latest, as you said, is a weekend of revelation about him sending sexual messages to a woman while he was married. Well, his wife is pushing back on all of this, saying that those are not the issues that voters are concerned about.
Well, that's true. That's true. I don't think most people in this current political climate, I don't think most people care. Like in the same way that nobody cared about like Trump's vulgarity when it came to his rise to political power. I don't think anybody's going to care about Graham Plattner's virtual infidelity. Now, I will say that it makes I'm already somewhat skeptical of him, and that I don't like. Obviously, I don't like that he worked for BlackRock and stuff, and I do think that he he will have to continue to prove himself once he's elected, because we've been burned so many times by like Gillibrands and Fettermans and like that sort of stuff. People pretending to be progressive and then governing the exact opposite way, and this doesn't help. In my personal opinion, in my assessment of like whether he's a trustworthy person or not, to like not just betray everything that he's talked about. Now, I will say, like, standing that up next to like his long history of like semi-radical like commie posting on Reddit and stuff, like does make me think that like, okay, like I don't know, it seems like it would have to be such a ruse to keep up if he wasn't actually somewhat aligned with that ideology. But like I said, the main thing that this indicates to me is that he might be slightly less trustworthy for me as someone who has been burned so much by people pretending to be progressive but actually not being. However, when it comes to like the Democratic establishment and they're talking about this as some sort of scandal, like the just general scandal of someone having an affair or something, I just don't think that plays the same way that it used to, as to like whether people are going to really care about that or not. We're living in an era of like unrestricted fascism, or like we're getting to a point where they're like, you know, like sending ICE thugs to your door because you posted a bad meme about like Trump, you know, like this is a scary era of politics, and you kind of have to get over your surface level critiques like when you're in more like revolutionary times. Like it's just part of what happens. And I think that from that regard, I don't think anybody's going to give a shit about this. So that's like kind of my initial assessment of this.
I find it really shameful that there's a group of media outlets and people who are willing to spread gossip instead of talking about real issues that Graham is running on.
What is your take on this Graham Plattner situation and the fact that Democrats are doing what I would argue maybe Republicans have been doing since 2016 and just saying, eh?
Yeah, because of last cycle and the ones leading up to, I think
that's exactly what I just said. Yeah, it's like, who cares? Who cares? It's not a real issue.
The bar for entry, the Democratic Party, has been placed so low because we put it there. You know, Democrats right now just want a candidate who can, you know, speak plain English and communicate to voters and be authentic.
But I think we have lost the plot on authenticity. I think Graham Plattner is cosplaying working class. He wears it like a Halloween costume, and that has been placed on him by the same people who have run a lot of progressive candidates.
What are you talking about? He's an oyster farmer. He was like in the military. Like he's not like, I don't think that he's in any way like rich or something. Is that what she's saying? He's not like a real working class individual. I'm pretty sure that he makes most of his wealth from contributing labor and not from accumulating like capital gains tax or capital gains or whatever, you know?
Halloween costume, and that has been placed on him by the same people who have run a lot of progressive candidates across the nation. In this pursuit of getting to know the everyman, we keep picking these people who I think show the worst parts of society. If I am to believe that Graham Plattner can relate to everyday Americans, then that means I am to believe that everyday Americans are okay with Nazi tattoos because they get them accidentally when they're drunk, or because they served in the...
Well, I mean, yeah, and people in the military, I would guess that there is a not insignificant percentage of military service members who have gotten a Nazi tattoo at one point in their lives. Like, I don't really think that that's that uncommon of an occurrence, especially given, you know, the general ideology of our military, like what it's used for. And, yeah, I wouldn't say that that's like that abnormal of an actual situation. But also, like I just said before, you have to get past this surface level shit when you're in an era of extreme politics. Like, who cares? Who cares about that? If he shows genuine remorse, like, and he covered it up immediately, I think that one's, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I'm still somewhat skeptical of him, mainly because of the BlackRock stuff. But I think that I probably trust that he didn't know what it was. Probably.
Are okay with Nazi tattoos because they get them accidentally when they're drunk, or because they served in the military. They have very. But
also, what I was also going to say is that most people, like I said, most people in the Democratic primaries who are going to vote, or like most Democrats are not going to give a shit about that. So, and obviously most Republicans aren't going to give a shit about that. Most of them already have they're on their 9th Nazi tattoo.
Very regressive views on race and on gender. I just cannot accept the fact that to gain the working class, we have to dress up people who show the lowest of our values.
It does speak to how hungry Democrats are for new blood, though.
I'll say this, though. I'll say this. If he didn't have those, they would still be going after him for anything they possibly can. Like the Democratic establishment, in particular, this consultant girl would be going after him, like no matter whether he had a Nazi tattoo or not. This is just the vehicle that they thought would work. It's clearly not working. There's probably lots of reasons for that, but yeah, that's why.
Governor Janet Mills is a very credible person. Governor Janet Mills is very credible, and she lost.
Right. I mean,
new leadership.
This is
also someone under 50.
Voters have a say in this. And if you look at the numbers, Graham Plattner, he has only gotten more popular. Okay.
Yeah.
Since
the more controversies seem to surround this guy, the more popular he becomes. That is true. He's very, I guess, Trumpian, you could say, in that regard.
The controversy, since the tattoo, since all of it, that's a real thing. And then, down in Texas, where Ken Paxton was going up against John Cornyn, all of the dirt is out there on Ken Paxton. And I was looking at some favorability and unfavorability numbers for the two of them, Paxton and Cornyn. And voters are just as favorable toward Paxton as they are to Cornyn. They are not the same. But voters don't seem to care about the scandals.
Well, I would be very clear. They are not the same. Ken Paxton was acquitted at his trial in the Senate of the crimes he was accused of.
But his wife has accused him of things that has led her to seek a divorce on biblical grounds. So,
and I am sure we're going to hear. I'm sure we're going to hear all about it.
There's a lot of corruption, but there's a lot of personal issues too with him.
But just to be clear, on the corruption stuff that he was impeached by the.
It's just they're trying to do. I think they just, like most of the people in the Democratic establishment, they're trying to live in a bygone era of politics where these scandals actually made a difference, or where people were morally outraged and they said, I cannot vote for this man. He had a Totenkopf tattoo. I could never. Or, I can't vote for this man. He sexted a woman while he was married. It's like, I just think we're so far beyond that in terms of what people need and want from their politicians that these very old school types of scandals are just like nothing burgers to most people.
Texas House, he was acquitted by the Texas Senate, so I think we should be clear about that. That is not the same as someone who has exhibited a pattern over 20 years. I mean, it's not just the Nazi tattoo.
There's a pattern of prosecuting.
It's not just the Nazi. It's the belief that women are responsible.
Well, there's no comparison. Paxton is incredibly corrupt. Like he sucks, dude. Like he is genuinely a terrible person. But their arguments against Graham Plattner are all very surface level. Graham Plattner hasn't caused any material harm to anybody except for his service in our genocidal military, where a lot of people and a lot of these Democratic consultants love our military and love every the war crimes that they commit. So that's the main thing that I have a problem with him for, the thing that caused material harm to other people. And I wish that he's apologized for it. He has said that he that he probably shouldn't have done that, but he was stupid and needed a job is his argument. And so but yeah,
for their own rape. I mean, that's appalling and absurd. To have someone believe that women are somehow responsible for being raped, to have people who obviously sexually message their women while they're married, these are all bad things, and they just keep getting worse with Graham Plattner. And I think Democrats, as you've seen,
and he keeps getting more electable.
A couple of them make pretty strong statements against him.
So
I think they're realizing that the wheels are coming off.
So Joe, are affairs disqualifying? This one. Yeah. Marital affairs.
To be clear, I think the Nazi tattoo is disqualifying. I think the idea that women are responsible for their own rapes is completely disqualifying, and he should be punched in the face. To be frank with you, I mean that's an appalling thing to say. I think that's different from
that's advocating for violence. Get him, YouTube.
Someone who's accused of bribery and was acquitted. I think that's someone who's has issues with his wife that we're going to all hear. We are going to hear all about Ken Paxton's divorce as the trial, I believe, even starts while he's. campaign.
In a couple
it's going to be
but this latest scramble.
This is just fantasizing, man. They're just fantasizing. They're fantasizing about his downfall because it's not happening. It's just cope maxing.
Plattner scandal is over sexting with staffers. Let me just read. I have to read this statement because this is from his wife. His wife told CNN and reporters, I confided deeply personal details about my marriage to someone who I considered a friend. In the months since, I've had to watch as she spreads malicious gossip to anyone who would take her call. I trusted this person with the most private chapter of our lives, the early days of our marriage before any campaign was on our mind, and I'm deeply hurt by her betrayal.
You probably shouldn't have done that. I'm just gonna say. I mean, not to like blame. Like obviously, like she was a victim to this. This extramarital sexting. That's not a good thing to do. That's hurtful to your wife, and he shouldn't have done that. But also, if you didn't think that it was going to, you should have known that this was going to get out, though. No matter who you told, if you told anybody, it was probably going to get out. So, but whatever. Like, I'm not gonna blame her for telling someone that she thought was a friend about this. Like, it's not her fault.
And invasion of our privacy. I know who Graham is. I know the man that I married and the husband that he has been to me on the best and worst days of my life. That hasn't changed, and it won't. That is what his wife says. But the piece of this is that it's adding to many things. Yeah. But do our voters sort of just don't care about? I mean, and maybe I should go further back because Donald Trump has cheated allegedly on his spouses before. He's been divorced several times. There was also Bill Clinton. Are we done with this stuff? Do personal mistakes not matter in politics anymore?
Sadly, I mean, I'm nostalgic for a time when Bush getting a DUI or Obama smoking weed was shocking and led the news for a couple weeks. And sadly, I think we're at a point in American politics where it isn't disqualifying. And it's funny. I mean, I was kind of surprised to see.
Yeah, but why, though? They never ask the question why. The answer is obvious. The material conditions have worsened so bad that people they don't have the time for that shit anymore. They don't have time for these sorts of these scandals that don't really mean anything for their material conditions. They're like, we need relief now. Like now, we need relief. The working class needs relief now, or else the pitchforks are coming out. Like this is a huge indicator that is where the American people are. But I don't even think they've even discussed like the reason why they think this is happening. Like I think they're thinking like, oh, just because like Trump like opened the door to this level of vulgarity or something would be like the closest thing to an argument that I could see them like putting forth. But it's like they don't even understand that was the same exact situation where people were materially like their working class was being eviscerated, and so they put their trust in this vulgar con man. And at the very least, that vulgarity was a indicator, just like a symbolic indicator to people that they might not be like other politicians. And I guess you could say that the Graham Plattner is kind of having the same effect.
The reaction from folks like Cory Booker now sort of raising questions about support for Graham Plattner in light of these affairs, because frankly, adultery and infidelity now seems so ubiquitous in American politics. So to me, that wasn't even the most shocking thing. I think Democrats, though, now are trying to backpedal a little bit because they realize it's this constant drip, drip, drip. It wasn't just the Totenkopf tattoo. It wasn't just...
Who's trying to backpedal? They just showed the polling. He's getting more and more popular every single time there's a scandal about him. I don't understand who they're talking about as starting to backpedal. Like...
basically making fun of veterans for getting shot at. It wasn't the
he is
sexual
a veteran.
acts and porta potty. It's continuing to drip, drip, drip. And so I think they're kind of...
These people who... this, I think, annoys veterans a lot when people like this who have never, like, touched a gun in their fucking life tell them how to speak about their fellow, like, veterans or whatever. Like, I think that shit's probably super annoying to them. Anyway, I'm moving on. I'm done. That's the Plattner situation right now. You guys heard my opinion. I'm sticking to it. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to ICE. We got some protests going on in New Jersey right now. So I kind of covered it when it was first starting up. I didn't really expect it to get as big as it did. So I'm kind of curious, what all's going on. I know that they attacked, I think, a congressperson who was trying to get inside to see the conditions. The basic premise of what's happening right now is that the conditions inside of this Delaney Hall concentration camp are supposedly like very, very bad, is my understanding. And I think there's people who are going on a hunger strike inside of it, who are trying to get attention on it. And they've gotten that attention now. And so then a bunch of people are outside protesting. And then I think there's been escalations by the police, and there's been escalations by the government implementing a curfew or something. But anyway, let's go ahead and watch this video from Fox News. I'm sure they'll have completely unbiased framing about it, and we'll see what's going on. Try and catch up at the Ingram angle. I hate fucking horses, dude. I mean, I don't hate horses. I hate when any animal is used by fascist thugs in order to facilitate their evil agenda. I also hate when cops use dogs and stuff. I hate anytime you take an innocent animal and then use them, or like when slave drivers used to use dogs and shit to like track down slaves and stuff. Anytime you use animals for like evil, I really hate that shit.
The poor horses. Well, that's what you get when you elect Democrats. After days of vile behavior outside a New Jersey ICE detention facility, the city of Newark is taking the bold action of imposing a 9 p.m. curfew tonight. Oh, good. Now, over the weekend, hordes of left-wing insurgents showed up there in costume with helmets, shields, gas masks, while others set off fireworks, getting ready for America 250, and then they threw rocks aimed at police.
Hell yeah. Patriots, they're doing their patriotic duty against these fascist thugs, man. Everybody should be out there.
Hands up! Hands up! Don't shoot!
Yeah, we're about to see a lot of this. By the way, for all of the people out there, for all of the people who think that they're only going to do this to like left-wing protesters or whatever, trust me, you'll be on the list. Okay, they'll do it to you too when your material conditions are bad enough and you want to go out there and protest your government for keeping oil or keeping gas prices at like $10 a gallon because Israel told you to, or whatever, or told our government to, or like drafting all of our children to go fight for the Nazi state of Israel. When you want to go out there and protest that shit, they're going to be doing this shit to you too. Okay, I'm just letting you know. We shouldn't normalize this sort of like fascist thuggery. These protesters are doing God's work out there, and they should be supported. And even if you're like pro cop or something, which I'm not, but even if you're pro cop and shit, you don't want the police and the government using the police as an apparatus for suppressing the will of the people.
Well, how does boss lady Governor Mikey Sherrill try to avoid blame here?
We know that people from outside the state have been interfering in the protests and escalating them. 5 of the 6 people arrested last night by state police were from outside New Jersey. To the people coming from...
Who cares? Who cares? I mean, there's literal like concentration camps. Like it's important to protest concentration camps. It is. People should have been, I assume in Nazi Germany, it would have helped if more people protested concentration camps.
From out of state to create chaos and dangerous situations. You should not be here.
Oh, that's tough. They shouldn't be there. But the illegals in Delaney Hall should be? She's only been in office, Cheryl, for 6 months?
Also, I think Delaney Hall is a privately owned one, aka they're profiting off of the suffering of others, which is, a horrifying thing. And like I said, it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop with migrants, people. American citizens are going to end up in these concentration camps as well.
Months or so, but she's already competing with Hochul, Pritzker, Newsom for the Worst Governor in America award. The truth is, the insurgents traveled to New Jersey because they know they have a friend in Sherrill. I mean, she agrees with them, the end goal at least.
Clearly
not. They don't
not.
try this stuff in Florida. DeSantis would shut down that chaos in about 15 minutes. And
well, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Didn't they shut down Alligator Alcatraz already? Like, I mean, I don't know if it was due to like protests or anything, but they did shut it down. And it'll happen there too. It'll happen everywhere, man. This is going to happen everywhere as they start throwing more and more people in there, and it expands beyond immigrants. There's gonna be more and more protests everywhere, including in red states.
We've said for years that these Marxist mobs are well funded and they're supremely well organized. They even have their own emergency gear, which independent journalist Nick Sorter saw firsthand.
If you have not been fully trained, you are not qualified to do anything. If you are on the ground and pepper spray is being deployed, the first thing that you do, you stop, you breathe, you put on your gloves. Do you understand?
How many of those so-called protesters do you think played varsity sports? They're like the kids who...
Probably a decent amount of them. I don't know. Probably just a normal amount. I don't. That's a weird thing to ask.
I think.
By the way, they always give advice when you're going to any sort of like organized protest that like you need people, you need leaders out there to communicate exactly what to do under various circumstances, what not to do in order to try your best not to antagonize the police. It's impossible. The police will always be antagonized no matter what you do, and they will always try to attack you and instigate and create violence and chaos, regardless of how peaceful you try to be. However, you shouldn't overtly try to, like antagonize them back, I guess, or like, just like you're not supposed to like be getting in fights with them or whatever. In general, that's not usually conducive to a good protest.
It's such losers. But thank God that people are stupid as they are, but remember, they're still impeding.
I assure you that these people were some of the best and brightest of their class, and probably many of them were on track and field for whatever reason that seems to be, or like we're on various sports teams. I don't know what she's trying to say. I think she's trying to say that like they're nerds who aren't like good at sports, which is a weird angle of attack. I guess that's why they call it the Ingram angle. It's a weird angle of attack. But as someone who is also a nerd and an anti-capitalist who goes to various protests and stuff, like I'm relatively athletic. So I don't know if that helps the argument. But
federal law enforcement. But of course, Hakeem Jeffries is on their side.
Delaney Hall should be shut down. And every single individual, particularly those at a high level connected to this facility, they're engaging in a depraved indifference to human life.
Yeah.
What a bozo. Independent journalist Nick Sorter
I mean, he is a bozo, but those words were true.
Live from Delaney Hall. Nick, are you getting your mail forwarded there? I was wondering, because you've been there for so long. You fit right in.
Also, by the way, this is what happened in Minneapolis, right? You put up a big enough stink, you cause enough trouble, you make it hard for this place to, keep funding the security that's necessary through the police and all that stuff. You just keep making it harder and harder for them. And eventually it has an impact. Like in Minneapolis, eventually they went home. Yes, 2 people died in order to get that to happen. However, eventually they went home. And I think that, if you keep pushing, if these people keep pushing, eventually they're going to have to either improve the conditions of this facility or shut it down in its entirety because it's just too expensive to keep operating. So I say, yeah, keep it up and keep this loser coming back here to report on it every single day. Because the more news, the more eyeballs are on it, the better.
And with that costume, though, you are looking like very insurgent-esque. Especially the lack of a shower.
The greasy-looking hair really helps.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Well, I did say that. Yeah. So what can we expect tonight? Is this curfew going to really
also these people who have never like fought for anything in their entire lives except for like advocating for the fascist authoritarian state of our country? It annoys me when they try to complain about people, you know, putting their life and body on the line to try to actually affect material change, even if you don't agree with what they're trying to do. Like, you should be impressed that they're just even out there at all, got off the fucking couch to do this stuff. That shows a level of character that these people will never ever be able to attain.
do it? I love Nick's adjusting the lens. Is the curfew really going to do it?
It's always a devolving situation out here as time goes on. You hear a bunch of screaming going on over here right now, and so what the hell is going on? We don't really know because we're dealing with a bunch of mentally ill people. Some sort of police action happening. You still have over an hour and a half until curfew, Laura, but I will say, just based on being out here in my new home of Newark, New Jersey, I guess, on the streets, is the police, the New Jersey State Police have been honestly incredible. I have nothing bad to say about anything.
Yeah, they're beating the shit out of people like we won. That's what they're thinking.
They rounded up dozens of people yesterday, kettled them right over here. Most of them are still in jail tonight, Laura. Like, I thought they were going to release them. I camped outside the jail waiting to watch them be released at like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Nope. Most of them are still in jail. And so that's a big difference from what you see in places like Minnesota.
Well, but they'll be out of jail eventually. You can't charge them for being protesters. Like, you can't. Sorry. Like, they're not doing anything wrong. They'll be out. They'll be out eventually. The court system. I mean, we do still have a somewhat competent court system that is not going to, yes, they're going to try to charge them with, like, I don't know, resisting arrest or trespassing or whatever, but they'll be fine.
Where they didn't arrest anybody for anything out there. They were totally withdrawn from the situation.
Nick, I saw a video last night of, again, they could have done this right off the bat, so I don't know why they didn't. But they removed someone who was really causing a problem, who was standing, I believe it was in front of the police, in about 60 seconds. They took 2 of these officers, took him and threw him, like, they didn't injure, but it meant, like, whisked him away, which just should happen immediately.
Yeah, black bagging. It's called black bagging. There's a long history of it in Nazi movements. Okay, it's called black bagging. If you want to know what the term is for these for that thing, it's called black bagging. Laura
in
Ingram.
These situations, if you're interfering with federal law enforcement and you're going up into their faces, you're scaring their horses, which I really don't like, scaring the horses. Then you should be
don't bring the fucking horses out.
Immediately arrested. This shouldn't be tolerated for 15
arrested
minutes,
for what?
Let alone 5.
Arrested for what? Of course you should be allowed to scream at police. That's our First Amendment right. We pay their fucking salaries. We should be allowed to scream at them as much as we fucking want. Same with these ICE facilities. I guess this one is a private one or whatever, but all of the ICE officers that are in there, we pay their fucking salaries. We should be able to yell whatever the fuck we want at them. That is our right as Americans who pay their goddamn salaries.
5 or 6 days or however long this has been going on, longer than that.
Yeah, and Laura, one of the issues.
Also, by the way, this is how this isn't going to stop. It's only going to keep getting more escalatory. And like, honestly, they're pretty lucky that these have been so organized and so nonviolent so far, is what I would say.
That we have out here is that there aren't nearly enough federal agents, right? So at some point, and I would imagine the conversations that would have happened in the background between the Trump administration and the governor out here, who is clearly being, let's just say the Trump administration is definitely winning out here at this point. All the numbers have thinned. People are in jail still currently. And these guys are the state police taking no crap, as I said. And that's very important because when we had that video the other day that I took where they were literally chucking 2x4s at horses in the middle of the street, police horses. That just
I'd have to
shows
see
you
that
this
to
is
believe it.
total anarchy. This has, honestly, a lot of it doesn't even have anything to do with ICE at this point. It's people that want to watch our country burn down.
Well, and I think Cheryl realized they're registering probably a lot of new Republican voters in New Jersey after watching this unfold. Nick,
I mean, most people hate ICE, so the average position is to hate ICE. So I don't necessarily know that that's the case. I mean, we'll see a lot more of this. I mean, as like ICE becomes, like I said, it's not going to stay with immigrants. They're eventually going to start. I mean, they've already rounded up some American citizens, but they're going to keep rounding up more and more American citizens, and it's going to start with people that these Fox News viewers don't like. It's going to start with, you know, the communists, the socialists, the unionists. As the poem goes, but eventually it'll come for them too. Even these conservatives who like maybe they're like, it's just so expensive. We need to stop this war from continuing. I can't afford it. I can't afford gas. Please stop the war. And they'll go out there and protest, and then they'll come for them too. Like this is how it always goes. And so like. I don't know. You need to not stop. You also need to keep pushing. Like I assume. I'm hoping that they'll keep pushing at this facility, and eventually it'll become too costly and too expensive for the state to continuously send the the police to go continuously surveil them and round them up and funnel them into the courts to then get acquitted, to then go back to protest, to then do the cycle all through it over and over again. So let's look at the comments, the Fox News comments. They don't hate ICE, they hate America. If you hate the US, okay. Wow. Cowards wear masks, take the masks off. Are they talking about ICE? So this person thinks that immigrants are taking millions from our taxes to house these people? I don't understand. Immigrants pay more into the system. Well, there you go. And eventually they will arrest you too. Here, I'll say criminalize dissent enough, and eventually they will arrest you too. Okay, there you go. There's a little rare YouTube comment from Technically Clay. Oh, it's already 2 hours in. Okay. We're gonna have to. I don't have time. I'm sorry. I've been kind of. You know what? This is my first day back in like 3 days. I've been kind of getting back up to speed on how I usually do this again. Okay, people. So I'm gonna just move straight on to the x.com portion. We're gonna go to x.com and we're gonna try and find a couple things to react to, and then I'm probably gonna get out of here. I'm skipping the Trump's 250th birthday one, or America's 250th, one or the other. This says, what's missing from this delicious breakfast? Dear God, that's breakfast? It's so black. I guess that's not too, I mean, it's a huge breakfast, but I guess that's bread. I was thinking that this was like meat and then eggs and then meat and then beans. I was like, that's too much meat. But I guess it's more, I think that's bread over here. I don't know what this is. This is just char. This is just charred. Like a little overcooked, if you ask me. Okay. The numbers are in. Fox News was the most watched news brand on YouTube in May. Sure. I don't care. I watch Fox News a lot because they're psycho. It's fun to watch. Oh. Non-Jew, full Christian Zionist, zero apologies. I'll die on this. Reincarnate and die on it again. Oh my gosh, dude. That's the biggest red flag I've ever seen. Yikes. Oh my gosh, dude. I hate Twitter, dude. They turn on the Zionism faucet so fucking hard, and it's like it's like you have to scroll through like 20 like Zionism posts before you can get to like regular fucking shit. What's happening? Yeah, they're trying to get this person fired for wearing a keffiyeh, which is just a Palestinian like head wrap. Like it's literally just like a symbol, like it's almost no different than I would say like a kippah, right? like a symbol of like cultural heritage, right? And these people are like, actually, that's a hate crime for you to wear this like this Palestinian scarf or whatever. Like it's crazy. What do we got? Let's find a video. I don't know if I want to watch that lady's video. What would you name this cat? I don't know, actually. I feel like that's AI. That's not a real cat. Maybe I'm wrong, though. I don't know. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee signed a resolution declaring June as Nuclear Family Month, people. Oh, I forgot to say at the beginning, Happy Pride Month. Happy Pride Month. I'm sorry to tell people that I am not a Nuclear Family Month enjoyer. That's only in Tennessee that you're allowed to enjoy Nuclear Family Month. But anyway, he declared Happy Nuclear Family Month. Now, I left a comment on somebody's post before, but anybody who tries to make Nuclear Family Month a thing, like, you got to check their hard drives, dude. There's no way that there's not some fucked up shit on that hard drive. Like, there's this person, this Bill Lee guy. What a fake ass sounding name. Bill Lee. Please go check his hard drive. Something going on. Well, I mean, anybody would. This says, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is the Zionism posting that like it gets boosted to the top of the feed every single time. It says, this was Gaza on October 7th. Palestinians were kissing the floor with joy as Hamas paraded dead Jews through the streets. Remember this the next time you see someone, call them the victims. Yeah, guess what? Dude, guess what? If you were born into this apartheid system and you saw your people break out of their hermetically sealed concentration camp and kill a bunch of their like Nazi handlers, like, yes, you would also be celebrating. Like, anybody who was born into this situation would have been celebrating on October 7th, I assure you. Like the same way that people celebrated when slaves like would like revolt against their slave owners and kill them and then run away. Like the other slaves, I got news for you. They celebrated that shit. I know that might surprise you, but they did. Same thing happened here. This person says doctors remove, this is what I'm talking about. Why is there so much fucking Zionism posting? Doctors remove brain tumors without opening the skull. This is Israel. Yeah, I'll say they implanted the Zionism mind virus in there to watch out. Okay, let's find, I want a video. I want it to be not Zionism related. I'm so tired of it, man. Okay, let's watch this Hasan clip. This is from his interview with Trevor Noah, which was a very good interview, by the way. I would encourage people to watch it.
Both parties are designed in a way where they defend corporate interests. The amount of defense that you can, the amount of countering that you can do, the amount of counter messaging you can do against the right-wing reactionary thought is going to be very limited. And that's what I think is a big problem with the Democratic Party's platform in general, where they can't just say it's corporations of the wealthy that's making the system the way it is, dumbass. What are you talking about? You think a random trans person is responsible for you not getting healthcare? Are you fucking stupid? You're going to get healthcare. We're going to give you healthcare. That's my advocacy. I'm like, we're going to give you healthcare. You need healthcare. We're going to build a house for you. You need a house. You're racist. Okay, you can't be racist any longer. We're not going to deny you healthcare or a roof over your head because you're racist, but you got to vote for the not racist party who will give you those things. Some people will look at that and go, no, I'm so racist, I don't want a roof over my head.
There's a lot of people out there like that.
But not many people are going to make that
I don't think
bargain.
that'll happen. I don't think that'll happen. We saw that.
I mean, okay, I said a lot, but there's more than you would want there to be of people who will straight up vote to like stay homeless or stay without health care as long as they get to keep hating a minority. But the not enough, I guess, that it would actually stop a movement that was focused around that from succeeding.
With I mean, not that we were there, but who was it? Chairman Fred Hampton, right? Black Panther Party, where he went, let's go to these white people who are racist, and they were like fully racist, and he said, you're poor, we're poor. Ask yourself a question. If we are the N-words that you call us and we're against you, why are we also poor? Shouldn't we have the money? And why are you poor? So if we're poor and you're poor, somebody's tricking both of us. So he's like, I'm going to work together. We're going to get you food. We're going to try and eat food as well. And then let's figure this thing out. And then they shortly after that, he was dead.
Yeah, they fucking murdered him in his sleep.
Yeah, they did. They sure did. The people, the powerful interests do not like it when when black people and white people start uniting on things such as class. They get very scared. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay, this one isn't Israel posting, I guess. They made what? The only thing worse than the real Israel parade was the AI slop Israel parade. Wow. Yeah, this did not happen, I don't think, as far as I know. Am I wrong? This did not happen. There were not lions in the street wearing Israeli flags, dear God. Okay. You don't have to agree with every Israeli policy to acknowledge a basic fact for LGBTQ people. Israel offers protections, rights, and care that don't exist anywhere else in the Middle East. Oh, wow. You're so, how progressive of you. You are killing those Palestinian children so progressively. I am so proud of you. How woke of you. Your bullets are all painted with little LGBTQ flags as they shoot through. Okay, I'll stop, but okay, let's keep going. Please, no more Zionism posting. Denims just spent the past 30 days doing 100 sit-ups a day and lost 5 pounds. How we looking? She's looking good. Super low body fat. Impressive. Impressive. Okay, let's find a video. Come on. Come on. Oh my gosh. What? Hasan Piker's seedy, sex-obsessed life, soliciting nudes, list of best breasts, and a separate laptop for porn. These people, man, I don't know. They're so like weirdly obsessed. Oh my gosh. God, so much fucking Israel posting, dude. I can't take it. This is what I get for engaging with any of these assholes. I need to stop. I need to stop commenting on their shit. But it's so specifically designed to make me as angry as possible.
From South by
Okay, I don't want another Hasan clip. Oh no! Iran and Tunisia is beating the shit out of the Statue of Liberty. What is that, Jesus? Jesus beating the crap out of the Statue of Liberty? Wow. Okay, what else we got? Oof. Okay. I'm gonna try to find one more video and then I'm gonna get out of here. I guess I should have talked about the Israel Day Parade, but the only thing I know about it is that Bezalel Smotrich guy, the guy who's wanted by the ICC for war crimes, was there. So. Oh my gosh. The White House says illegal aliens and foreign fraudsters steal billions yearly from American taxpayers. That's not true. Illegal immigrants or they pay more into taxes or into the federal government than they take out, even more than the average American citizen, because American citizens actually get to use, the public services. What, little we still have, American citizens get to use at least some of them to some extent. Whereas like undocumented immigrants, they pay into the system through taxes, but then they never get to use any of the stuff that they pay into. So anyway, POTUS signed an EO executive order to stop banks and financial institutions from aiding drug trafficking, illegal immigration, and the cartels behind it as part of the effort to end fraud and reverse mass illegal immigration. By the way, we've had net zero migration for like a year and a half now or something. I think, I don't know how trustworthy those numbers are, but that's according to the government. How much better is your life now? Is it better? Are you feeling better now? Is everybody just feeling so successful? They feel like they have so much more money in their pocket now that we have net zero migration, or do you feel the exact same? Because I feel like everything is actually getting worse. I feel like things were better back when we had a whole lot more migration, to be honest, back during the Biden years. Even though they weren't the best, they were better than whatever the fuck we're going through right now.
This is an example of a drone used by Hezbollah. This is
nice.
What we are dealing with.
Sorry, not nice. I'm not allowed to say that.
Hezbollah are using different kinds of drones. Few of them with fiber optic. These drones...
They're so annoying to listen to. Okay. Corey Bush. Conversation with Corey on June 7th this week. 15 Windows Gallery. Okay. Wait, when is that? June 7th? That's coming up. Maybe I'll go to that. Okay. What do we got? Mr. Beast. Okay. Alveus Sanctuary. Okay, let's just end it on some cute animal content, and then I gotta get out of here. Okay, let's watch this from Alveus Sanctuary. Stompy and Nolly first stepping into their new emu splash pad. So I guess they got a new splash pad over at Alveus for these big old birds, these dinosaur looking motherfuckers.
Yay, Stompy!
Wow. Chicken.
Oh my gosh, submarine!
Wow, he's fully submerged.
Amazing! Guys, this is also deep enough that Stompy can swim a little bit. He doesn't know that it gets deeper.
Whoa.
But he's about to find out.
They shake like dogs.
Oh my gosh. Go float. Oh my god, he's floating. Oh my god, he's floating.
What? Oh no, no. Fight.
Stompy's coming back.
They got that like Animal Crossing music.
So brave.
I guess it makes sense.
Do you love it, chicken? Oh my god.
What? Double bird.
Julian's gonna freak out.
Nice. Yeah, dude, these things are dinosaurs, man. They're straight up just dinosaurs. I went to the fossil museum and there were a bunch of in Chicago, and there were a bunch of fossils, and they looked just like these fucking birds, man. But anyway, some nice, cute, relaxing Alveus Sanctuary content to end it after unlimited amounts of Zionist boosted algorithm shenanigans from Elon Musk. So there you go, people. I hope you enjoyed it. I sure did. I hope you enjoyed this first stream back after 3 days of absence. I'm going to try to be back to my normal schedule going forward. So I should be here tomorrow at 4 p.m. for anybody who wants to watch me. I hope you all enjoyed the stream. I think I had a pretty good time. I was still getting, back in the swing of things though. So, I think I dwelled a little too long on some of the videos. I wasn't able to get to all of the content that I wanted to get to, but you know what? There's always tomorrow. That's what I say. So anyway, thanks for watching. If you're watching the VOD, love you too. This has been Technically Clay, and the stream is technically over. Bye-bye.